This is the thing. Who you choose to hang around with, who you choose to have in your posse, is exactly who you become. Choose your posse wisely. I'm here to tell you that putting yourself first is not selfish, it's revolutionary. Welcome to the Ayurvedic Woman Podcast, empowering women to light their lives on fire through Ayurveda, yoga, spirituality, and fitness. I'm going to say this one last time. Stop apologizing. Women do this all the time. They apologize for everything. What are you feeling sorry about? Stop. If you do not put yourself first, nothing else happens. Stop putting everybody in front of you and put yourself first so that those people that you need to care for and take care of can be cared for because you have put yourself as the priority. Jai Bhagwan, Women Warriors, and welcome to the Ayurvedic Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Satyavani, and my co-host,
Prajna Madhavi.
And we're here doing the stuff like we always do.
Doing the things.
I actually have to put blankets underneath my seat because I'm so much shorter than Prajna is. And so it looks like we're the same height. We're not at all, okay, for the record. So girl, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It was nice to spend a morning with you. That was awesome.
Oh my God.
Get a walk and lifting weights.
Oh my God. And
that was nice.
Pushing the bonsai around in his chariot.
Yeah, pushing him around.
So bonsai, Prajna's dog, is King Bonsai.
Yes,
for the most
King
part.
Bonsai.
So he's how old now?
He's 10 and a half.
Okay, 10 and a half. Mm-hmm. And Havanese.
Yep. And
absolutely adorable, and we love him.
Yes.
And he is completely and utterly treated like royalty. So we have, yes, she is that woman who has a stroller for her dog. I'm outing you. I'm outing you right now.
I know, it's okay. I made a video about it. I'm one of those people.
She's one of those people. But it was actually because he was having a lot of trouble with his hind legs, and what prompted that?
He's had back issues since he was about 3 years old. They started to diagnose he had some. They never really found it. I mean, I did all the things. Put him under CT scan and all of that. And they didn't find any real. They found a little disc degeneration, but not a lot.
Right.
But he just has these periods where he's not comfortable. He doesn't really want to walk around. Yeah. And so
sometimes get the shakes a little bit too, right?
Yep. He'll shake just like he's in quite a bit of pain. And so, I've done acupuncture, and actually he's going to a chiropractor right now, which is doing a lot of good. So
stroller.
Thank you.
Chiropractor. Okay. You see where this is going, people? Okay.
So my thought was, if I get the stroller, he can at least, dogs do a lot like with their smell. That's actually the most important thing for them is to get the smell. So
yep.
I was like, even if he can't walk, I'm going to just get him out there and I can walk with him and be with him, and he can, do his little smell around the neighborhood. And
what it's turned into now is that he's actually fine now. Okay. And so he's like, all right, let's walk. And then when he's like, I'm kind of in the mood to be pushed. He's like, he gives her the face. She gives him a treat, puts him in the stroller, and we look like a lesbian couple walking down the street with a dog in the stroller. Yes. That's what that looks like.
Literally today, I think he started walking next to the stroller like, I'm about ready to get in the stroller today, and started to kind of slow down. I was like, wow, okay.
It was crazy. The thing that's funny, though, is we call him Krishna, and he's Arjuna. He's Arjuna. So Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita, who is the chariot warrior, if you would. He's actually an archer, but if you haven't read the Gita, don't worry about it. But Lord Krishna is in the back pushing or regulating the chariot, and that's what Prajna's job is. She's Krishna and he's Arjuna, and I think he really likes it that way. Mm-hmm. But it was a great walk anyway.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Lots of fun.
Get the morning sunlight in the eyes and on the skin, and that's always very important to get that sunrise.
It was actually nice to have it be a little cloudy this morning because it actually contained the warmth.
Yeah.
Because the past couple of days it's been cool in the morning. I've been
doing my runs with Holly in the morning, and like it's been a little chilly. I mean, we get the sweat going because we're running, but like at first it's like, ooh, it's a little chilly. She actually ran the other day, and Holly, you're my girl. She ran the other day with a little down jacket. I was like, damn girl, okay, like she's doing it. I know me, I'd be like on fire 5 seconds later, like no way.
Not much better than a fall run though. No. Fall runs are pretty. Those cool morning runs are really nice.
They're awesome, and I am not a runner at all, but I kind of dig them. Mm-hmm. I really dig them. And we got to get that knee better for you so that we can do that.
Yeah. I miss running.
I know. Today, our discussion is on the concept of momentum. It seems to be popping up a lot this week, so we're going to talk about momentum from obviously always a Vedic perspective, but also, various different, including not just the Ayurveda and the yoga piece of it, but also mental toughness and fitness and all that kind of stuff. But we always do our fitness check-in. So one of the things that we'd like to start adding, whether you're watching this on YouTube, you can put it in the comments, or if you're listening on audio, we usually put a question that you can respond to, whether it is, what did you think of the podcast, or taking a survey or something like that. So please do participate. So when we do our health check-ins, we want to include the audience with like, what's your weekly, wellness check-in? Like what's going on with the physical body, your energetic body, the mental, emotional, your state of consciousness, and your spiritual connection. So what are all of those layers? But let's talk about you.
Okay.
All right. What's your wellness check-in this week?
On the physical side, I'm sore. My body, I'm back in the groove at school, and I'm standing a lot and not moving as much. Like when you're doing a lot of standing or sitting, your body just starts to ache. So I'm squatting in the garden picking stuff because I have everything coming right now.
All the things.
The
peach tree in front of her crib. Off the chain.
Yeah, it's really looking good right now, but it's a lot of peaches.
So if you live in the Boise area and you want peaches, let us know. We can provide you with peaches, or she can provide you with peaches.
Yes.
This is not my tree.
Yeah. Cucumbers, tomatoes. So I'm doing a lot of like squatting down, picking the stuff, and I think that's irritating my other knee. So it's just figuring out what it is and dealing with it, and that, otherwise, physically, I really want to get to lifting more and, trying to find that balance of yoga and lifting and with the time that I have. So, but I'm making more time than I have in the past, so that's good. The Ayurveda 108 is definitely helping on the other levels. I've been really good this last week about getting up really early, getting my walk in, and then having some get my journaling done and having some sit and quiet time with bonsai before I go to work. And it's, about anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes where I can just chill with him and just be quiet and start my day off right.
So great.
That's been really nice.
That's a great meditation practice to do it with your pet. He probably really loves it. He feels soothed.
Yep.
And then you get that vibration from him as well. So yeah, pets are great with meditation, and they're drawn to it.
And Christine in the level 1,
right? Who's also in the 108.
Yep.
Shout out to Christine Souza.
Woo-hoo. Who also said that bonsai must have been a king and a royalty in a past life.
Right.
So
and you're just participating in that. She's not only a pet intuitive psychic who is amazing, because I'm actually asking her to help us with Marrakesh.
Nice.
But an incredible, as she titles herself, a death walker. So she's a death doula. So Christine, shout out to you for your work in the world. And we're going to have her on the show.
Nice.
And also an incredible Reiki master. So she's doing a Reiki training here in Boise. Actually, no, in Kuna at Oasis Yoga Studio. So shout out to Hillary Levine, one of our AWP gals, as well as a 108 participant who is the owner and operator of Oasis Yoga Studio, a magnificent, beautiful studio in Kuna, and she and Christine are in the same AWP group, and so they're partnering up because that's what we do. We do the Shakti effect each of our gals helps one another out, etc. So get involved. And I totally cut you off as you were doing that.
I got it.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's Christine mentioned that doing a kind of heart opening with bonsai, his heart right next to mine is really good. And so that's been really nice to do in the morning. I know.
I love that. Does he just put his paws on your shoulder?
No, he just kind of, sits like the little baby and just, lays. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great energetic body thing. Mm-hmm. Love it.
So energetic body, feeling pretty good with all of that, with, again, the 108 work. So.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Whew, well, this has been a week. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been back from India and Nepal. It seems like it's starting to fade in the distance. I know. Almost a month. It's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot of shit has gone down. So, I feel like I'm in this karmic cycle, and I actually am. In speaking with the great Casey Scott. Shout out to Casey Scott. Woohoo! Gold Star Astrology. If you want your Jyotish karma birth chart done, he's your man. Mm-hmm. But as you know, I meet with him once a month, and several of the other women who are in our sphere do that. We do some cosmic coaching, and I'm in the 12th house right now of the stage of what he calls escape, which is not like escaping the world, but rather, which I wish sometimes I could do, but rather going inward with a lot of, self-reflection and what's kind of happening in the world. And the theme that he has had for me is just let the leaves fall off the tree, the things that need to fall off should. And so I've had that in my mind. I was in the 12th house for July and August. And so in September, my moon cycles into the first house, which will be about identity, rebirth, et cetera, et cetera. So there is definitely a rebirthing happening. And the irony of all of it is, and this is all the energetic body piece of it, and consciousness, So sitting and teaching AWP, the Ayurvedic Woman program, the in-person program, not this past Friday, not yesterday, but a week ago, and sitting in what we call Suite 100, which is our program room here at the Zen Spot Institute, and all of a sudden, a tire comes flying through our window. And I'm not shitting you. This is dead serious, okay? So, we're just teaching, and all of a sudden, glass starts shattering. And thank goodness we were all on one side of the room, not the side of the room that the tire came through. But one of the gals in the group, she and I, we talked about, we both thought it was a gunshot. Mm-hmm. And we were like, get down, shit. And it was a little chaotic, but I will say that the gals in the group were just absolutely amazing. Everybody was just oh my God, what was that? And we all just kind of activated into, okay, what are the steps? Let's call 911. Let's call the building management. I called Michael, because he needed to be alerted of that. And what had happened was a woman was coming down the Main Street Orchard, where our offices are, and tire flew off the axle right across the street, right through our window. And if the blind had not been down on the window, that tire would have come straight through and probably would have decapitated me. It is a miracle that even though all the glass shattered, not one shard got on anybody. So it wasn't anybody got injured. So it was is this my karma coming at me? I think it's telling me something, something needs to end. And so that was very interesting. But everybody's fine. We're doing the thing, getting things patched up. But just, another kind of energetic, physically, I actually, this was in the beginning of the week. When I was training, I felt like I was slogging through molasses. And then at about Wednesday, all of a sudden, I went in for PT with August, and shout out August Rhythm.
Shout out to August.
Woohoo! Krav Maga experts, and he's also my personal trainer, as you know, and went for a training session and did this ridiculous leg routine because he has this new leg press. And it was
Trout is new toys.
Exactly, and it was
On you.
on me, and it was awesome. And like 2 days later, I couldn't walk. So there we go. So, but I felt really strong. I felt like I was getting back into it, and we're we're revving that up as well as my private crop sessions to test for level 3.
Yeah, prepare for testing
in October. So fingers crossed. But so physical, mental, emotional, things on the mental, emotional side, I think are a little bit, they're in flux and transition. And, the 108 really helps. The Ayurveda 108 started on Monday, and we have 13 women that are participating in it, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And those practices, those daily practices every single day help me personally feel like, okay, I accomplished something. And it goes back to like, what are, in a world full of chaos, what are the things it is that I can control, that I can be responsible for and check off the list as a win.
Yeah.
And so that's been really helpful. So it actually, the 108 came at a very good time. So I feel really good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the long story,
I love it.
When you are ready for change, a fucking car tire comes through your goddamn window, and then there you have it. So it's like, okay, there you go. But I think it lends itself to our topic on momentum. So yesterday, Prajna and I, we went out on a Friday night.
We went out. On a Friday night.
It was like a big deal. I know. I felt like I got home and I was like, oh my God, it's late. It was like 10:30 when we got home. And I'm like,
I'm so tired.
It's like,
so late.
This is what happens when you like really get into the training mode of life. You're like, I'm up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, you're up at 4 and I get up at 5. And it was like, by the time like 9 o'clock comes around, you're like, oh my God, I'm about to fade and fall asleep. It's actually pretty funny. But we had a fun Friday night where we went to the College of Idaho women's volleyball game.
Yep.
And so, like, tell us about your experience with the College of Idaho. Like, what, because you have a background and a history with them. Because she's a badass.
So I played volleyball in college, so I ended up at the College of Idaho, and phenomenal school, great program.
It was a cute little campus.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd been out there.
Yeah, so. It's a really nice campus. And after I got done playing, I started coaching pretty much right away, and was actually coaching while I was playing. And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I coached club while I was playing.
Club, okay.
Yeah.
Not the team you were on.
No.
I was going to say.
Well, I mean.
I was going to say, she's good, but like, wow, okay.
So I was coaching club, and then coached high school for a few years. And then the head coach at the College of Idaho now, she called me up and said, would you like to...
And that's Liz
Mendiola.
Shout out.
Liz Mendiola. And so she called me, and, at the time I was coaching high school volleyball, which is not the best gig in the world because it's a lot of work. High school coaches, shout out to high school coaches because it's a lot of work for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
a lot of stress.
Yeah. So
was this in Mountain View?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was also, my husband at the time was, he wasn't my husband yet, my boyfriend at the time. He had moved to Hillsboro. Okay. Outside of Portland.
Yeah.
And so I was traveling to Hillsboro like every other weekend.
To see him.
And coaching high school.
Are you kidding me?
It only lasted 2 years.
I was going to say, like, only 2 years?
Head coach, yeah. Because then I was just like, I'm not a good teacher anymore.
Well, and that's a dreadful drive. Yeah. Like, I've done that.
I flew.
Drive. Oh, you flew.
Like, that was back in the day when, like, Southwest was like $49.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember those days.
It was much better.
Michael and I used to do that North and Southern California.
Yeah. So I felt like I could, but.
Okay. So I was going to say, if you're driving that drive, oh, God, and it's a horrible drive.
It'd be terrible.
8 hours and you go through what's that weirdo town that's in Oregon that they had
Pendleton.
Not Pendleton. There's I always want to say Leeds, but that's not it. That's in upstate New York. Oh God, I'll think of it later.
Somebody probably knows exactly which one it is.
I mean, it's literally like there's like nothing but like a hotel, like a couple of hotels and like a gas station.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I was like, yes, I would much rather be an assistant coach at a college than doing this high school gig. So I coached, assistant coached for Liz for close to 10, maybe 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. Yep, it ended up.
Oh, I thought it was like maybe 5 or 6 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I coached volleyball for, had I kept going, it would be up to close to 30 years now. I coached volleyball for a long time.
Wow.
Since 97 is when I started.
Wow, you're like an OG.
I know. Been out there.
A long time.
Around. So, yeah, and I love the coaching part of it, but the drive and the time while trying to teach was just a lot.
Yeah.
And
fair.
So gave it up right before COVID.
Yeah.
Kind of glad I gave it up when I did.
Okay. Why?
The COVID years were very, very hard on college athletics.
Yeah.
Watching girls play in masks,
which is absolutely ridiculous,
was really awful.
Oh my God.
To see
it's actually dangerous.
Have to do that. Yeah. It really is. I mean, I think studies are coming out now. More studies are coming out.
Everything's coming out now.
Yeah. Showing just how detrimental wearing masks are when you're just even sitting around, much less.
Right. We're driving in your car with gloves.
Yes. But much less breathing, breathing a lot of air in at any given time. So,
because breathing natural air is not a good thing for you. Do you see this face? Okay. Just making sure. Anyway. So
it's been really nice to go back and see them play and stay connected. And
that's cool.
I miss it. I miss the coaching part of it.
Sure.
Being involved. Yeah. And don't miss the drive, though.
No.
Or the...
well, and you're coaching in a different way now.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. What I found out through this whole process is my dharma is coaching, teaching.
Yep.
At some level, and I gotta find that perfect setting.
Yeah, and you're finding it.
Yeah, I am.
You create our life. But the thing that you had said to me yesterday, which I found really interesting, which goes back to our topic of momentum, is that volleyball is all about momentum.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that from the sports volleyball specific aspect. Like what does that translate to mean?
Yeah, I would say what's interesting about volleyball is you only get 3 contacts on each side of the net. Okay. So it's really once the action starts,
it's
pretty
fast.
Fast paced.
Holy cow, yeah.
And so
that was my first live volleyball game. Like I've watched sand volleyball or beach volleyball on like ESPN, that kind of thing before, way back in the day. But this was like my first oh my goodness, this is college women playing a game, and it is loud and fast.
Yeah.
Like we walked into the gym, I was like, damn, shit's going on around here. So,
so
it's cool.
Yeah, so with volleyball, it's with only those 3 contacts, you've got to make each of those contacts, really good for one.
And count.
Yeah. And, when that last contact is done, it's either a kill or it's a rally. And when the ball is dead, there's, whoever won that point, they have the momentum at that given time. Right. And
it's almost like if the ball is dead, the team that was not successful in that kind of gets deflated. Mm-hmm. And you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's very easy to get deflated if you're on that losing side.
Yep.
And so that's why, the consistency and having, creating your own momentum, even when things are not quite going your way, are very important. Because if you just let the other team have all the momentum, you're going to lose, 25-10, pretty much. Right. And it doesn't make for a very exciting game either. No. But
it also doesn't make for a very exciting game of life, because as we were watching, the game yesterday, and then our drive home, and we were debriefing about the experience and all of that, which was really cool. That the volleyball game and momentum in that context really is a metaphor for life. Mm-hmm. It's a metaphor for what we as women can either enhance or deflate. Mm-hmm. And watching that game and watching, the energetics of it, which is really a very interesting way of looking at sport. A lot of folks look at sport as this, this experience of the biomechanics of it.
Yeah.
And there really is this huge energetic side to it, just like the subtleties of like with that match, how the women interacted with one another, who are the women who are really willing to get gritty and who are the ones that are lazy. I mean, like you can see that across the board on both sides, of that. And I think that is a huge metaphor for life in terms of momentum builds on itself. And you have to, one of the things that we're learning, with the 108 on the energetic side by participating in this is that when you do those 8 tasks every single day, I feel like you're banking momentum. You're putting it in your ojasic, pranic life bank account, your mental toughness bank account, so that those times when you're like, wow, momentum to build today is really difficult, because we all struggle. Like every single day, you're not going to be super motivated. And we hear all the greats talk about motivation is really shit, because you have to have the discipline to create momentum in order to supercharge your momentum.
Yeah, because when you think about, just as you said that, when you think about motivation in that way, it's like motivation, when I hear it like that, almost is something from the outside.
Yes.
Getting you going.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm not motivated. I'm like, well,
motivate yourself.
Yeah. What's going to motivate you? Like,
right. That's a you problem. That's not a societal problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are you doing to create that motivation? And so like a lot of folks, I mean, you're so spot on with momentum. Momentum is actually the driver of motivation, and momentum is something that you can bank. So what are the things in your life that are helping to propel you forward?
Yeah.
And any of the great, folks, whether it's in business and sport, in life, even in teaching, how do you capitalize on the momentum to help move things forward, to keep the motivation going, to keep the discipline going, to keep the drive going, to eventually create success?
Yeah.
And like in the Ayurveda world, I think of momentum as a combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And primarily, I will say Vata and Pitta. Because on the Kapha side, Kapha being earth and water, you have to have a foundation. So there has to be some sort of terrain by which you want to build momentum. Like, is that I want to build momentum in my personal life, in my professional life, in my spiritual life, whatever. So there's like, what's the playing field?
I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, Kapha being that, foundation.
Yeah, like what is that foundation? So like, for you, your field of your foundation is going to be, I want to build momentum in X. Mine is going to be different from that. There's probably crossover in a lot of that. So everybody's foundational field of building momentum, like what is the structure, is going to be different. You need to spark something.
Who is that?
Exactly. So like there has to be that Pitta element of fire that sparks that foundation moving from like, okay, this is my playing field, to action.
Yeah.
And so that fire is the action. And then once the action starts taking place, there's this kind of kinesthetic building of energy that Vata comes in and takes over with that air and ether piece of it. So it's like, okay, let's get it moving. Let's get it moving. Let's get it moving.
As you're talking about this.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
Did I just totally pull that out of my ass?
You did. It's so good. And
it all goes back to Ayurveda.
In my mind, I'm seeing this wheel, like a wheel spinning. And
a chakra.
A chakra.
Oh, yeah.
A wheel spinning, and when if that wheel starts, so you've got the momentum, it's going.
Yep.
And then if the wheel starts to kind of slow down,
Yep.
you've maybe lost a day of a little bit of momentum.
Totally.
It's still going.
Yes, it is.
And then you need that pitta to spark it back up.
Yep.
And then you also don't want the wheel going in the air. So you've got to have it on the ground to get it going.
Look at you. Boom.
Yeah.
Because it has to travel the road.
Mm-hmm. It has
Unless
to travel
it's a plane.
The
planes don't have wheels.
And they got land.
Exactly. And some of us are good at landing the plane and others not so much.
You got to take off and land at some point, I guess. Otherwise, you're just flying around, running out of gas at some point.
That's funny. There's a little bit of an inside joke on that one, folks. We'll get to that at some other point in time. But no, but seriously, and I love that. So that chakra, that wheel, and also what happens is that as the wheel is moving, because the air and the ether is keeping that propulsion going, it does create heat inside of it. So that spark needs to keep happening. It's like an internal combustion engine. Mm-hmm. Like that spark needs to, keep going, et cetera. And so what's interesting, let's go back to, the volleyball game and sport and all of that.
I'm just thinking the people who know physics, they're like, yeah, duh. That's what momentum is.
Sorry, physicists out there.
Hopefully that.
Yeah. Hey, come on, that was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But
it was good.
Yeah, okay.
We're good.
There's an equation for that somewhere, probably.
We don't know what the equation is. So, and that's fine. We don't have to know. So, going back to the volleyball game and the athletes, et cetera, and it's interesting because we had this, the debrief yesterday as we were driving home just about when we were athletes, the mental space that we were in versus the mental space that athletes are in right now. And also, and I will just be rawly honest, in a post-COVID world, a lot of that has changed.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot more mental toughness prior to COVID. And then COVID became that I'm going to slow down the momentum until literally that wheel gets parked.
Yeah.
And now we're living in a post-COVID world of a little freneticism of do I still stay parked or do I start getting that wheel moving again? Mm-hmm. And it was interesting in just observing the players on both sides of how there is that initial momentum that gets built. The wheel is moving. They get sparked because there was a kill or they're whatever. They were able to score points and
the crowd's going and there's a great dig and the crowd gets behind you and that increases
that's
the
heat,
momentum.
that's the pitta that gets that going, etc. And then when it dramatically shifted, like if the other team scored, how it's almost like that wheel came to a stop. And so my question in our discussion was, okay, before they even get on the court, what is the pitta heat spark? What is what is the foundation by which they're working? What is the goal? What is the playing field, that kappa playing field?
Yeah.
And then what is the spark, the heat that's happening so that they can create momentum even before they get on the court?
Yeah.
And that, regardless of whether you're an athlete, whether you're in business, whether you're raising a family, whatever the case may be, that's something that permeates all parts of life. And having momentum in your life is a key component to living, growing, experiencing, and developing and achieving the goals it is that you have personally in your life. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
That as you were just talking about all of that, one thing, a quote that I just come back to over and over and over again is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Oh,
and if you don't have that intrinsic spark on all facets of your life, not that you're going to keep them, you don't want all the wheels. It's hard to have all wheels spinning in different directions and things like
and
that.
And it shouldn't be.
No,
because otherwise you get into like a frenetic state.
Yeah, you've got to have that focus as to, okay, what do I want to work on right now at this time? So when it's game time, I have that spark within me that's in everything that I do.
Yep.
How do I then put that out on the court? Like, I need that spark to guide me on the court.
Totally. And
then when I get in, like, say for a college athlete, when I get into the classroom, I have that spark in my studies that, this is what drives me.
Yep.
And it's intrinsic. Like, it has to be intrinsic. Like,
that is so key.
Because otherwise we go back to the motivation. Like,
Yep.
well, I'm not motivated.
Right.
Well, what the fuck is going to motivate you?
Right.
Other than having it in you and creating that within yourself.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just searching for other things outside of you to always motivate you.
Well, it's always external.
Yeah.
And this goes back to like the core of the things it is that we talk about, which is it has to come from within. Mm-hmm. And so working on yourself is the key component to that, because if you're constantly and we live in a world that is, let me motivate you externally in this direction and that direction and this direction, and we see what that has produced. It's actually produced vata deranged, frenetic people who have no fucking clue who it is that they are and what it is that their purpose is in life. Because you're constantly getting this outside quote-unquote motivation that is basically driving you in a direction based on who the motivator is. Yeah. Whether it's, whatever.
And then you have no power.
Zero.
You give up your power.
Zero power. And so the key is, whether it's in sport, whether it's in life, etc., is developing the practices that are going to cultivate your own internal fire. Like, once you know what your playing field is, and I had this conversation actually with somebody very close to me this morning. And I was like, you have to figure out what it is that you want. What is it that you want to put out into the world? Once you establish that kappa playing field, then what is the spark that excites you to get that thing moving? And that has to come from within. And I think constantly the practices, and this is, why the 108 has been so successful on so many different levels, because it's like, it's not a to-do list. It's not like, I'm going to meditate for 8 minutes a day. I'm going to, do my breathing exercises for 8 minutes a day. I'm going to journal for 8 minutes a day. I'm going to read 8 pages, all the things, the 50% plant-based, the gallon of water, blah, 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 etc. But what that does is that those are practices as tools to spark that momentum. Yeah. I'm curious, your thoughts.
No, I absolutely agree with that. It's, none of those things are, again, externally motivating you to do anything. Those are the practices that are creating such a good template and such a good consistency. If you're thinking about, achieving that momentum, those are the practices that help keep that momentum going.
Yep.
And you start slacking off on one of them or two of them. And I just got done this last week talking to a student who was thinking about doing the 75 Hard Challenge.
Oh, boy.
And they were already...
It's not a challenge. It's a program.
Sorry. Thank you.
Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry, Andy.
Dang it. So it... for them, I guess it probably was more of like a challenge.
Right, because that was the mindset.
Yeah, that was the mindset. And they said, well, but we can't start until this day because people are going to want to do this on the weekend. And
I'm going to want to drink on the weekend and get shit-faced. So I got to wait till Monday to start. Yeah, there's a good environment to start. There's your kappa playing field.
There's a good playing field right there.
There we go.
And then they mentioned, I'm going to have a cheat day here and there. And I'm just like,
then you're not doing the program.
No. Then it is just a challenge, and you're failing at the challenge.
Not succeeding in that challenge.
So, those are the things that when you start to let that creep in, I'm not going to do this today, then that's chipping away at that momentum.
Yep.
And the wheel starts to
slow down.
And, these practices are meant to help those are the sparks. Those are the things that help keep it going.
And the wheel doesn't have to be going 100 miles an hour.
No, it does not.
If it's just
conversation yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just going the speed limit, the past, couple of weeks as we've been, getting back into, the transition from, being in India and Nepal and all of that, like going right back into your practices, even if they're not like, oh my God, I'm full bore, I'm like 100%, et cetera. It was like, you know what? The past 3 weeks, I've made it to Krav twice a week, where I usually go 3 to 4 times a week. You know what? But it's putting the momentum in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's putting, and eventually I'll get back to 3 or 4 times a week because, just stuff, because I didn't expect a tire to come in my fucking window. But there you go. There's that. I also think that momentum is something, just going back to the earlier part of this discussion, it builds on itself. I feel like it's compound interest. It creates more. So like, you got the momentum and then you have a win, whatever that win is. And then it's like, okay, let me capitalize on that win. And you create more, so that during the times when the momentum slows down.
Yeah, take a little bit out.
Right.
Well, it's still gaining that interest.
That's
you're
right.
Still keeping a lot in there.
That's right. And the wheel is still moving. We just want to keep it moving. It's like when Holly and I, when we run in the morning, there are some days where I'm just like, wow, the struggle is going to be real. But all I have to do is just keep moving. Even if that means I slow down tremendously, or if it's like, you know what? We're just going to walk give me a minute, just need to walk, and then we'll pick the run back up again, etc. Still moving forward.
Yeah.
Love it.
So good.
Momentum. It is not underrated. It is super important in your life, in all aspects of your life, on every single koshic plane.
Yes.
The physical body, energetic, mental, emotional, your state of consciousness, and your spiritual connection. Super important. I believe it is time to pull a card.
Yes, it is.
So today, based on the conversation of momentum, we decided to do mudra cards. So mudra cards are not oracle cards. I mean, there's all sorts of cards out there. You got tarot or tarot. You have oracle cards, etc. These are mudra cards. I'm going to put this up to the camera for those of you that are watching this on YouTube. And these are put out by the Integrative Yoga Therapy Group, which I think are fantastic. And these are mudras for healing and transformation. So a mudra, the word mudra in Sanskrit means seal. It's an energetic seal. So it's a hand gesture, so to speak, that locks in the energy based on the positioning of the hands and what it represents. And so we thought that with momentum, we'd lock in that energy based on the mudra. So which one did you get? You did not get chin. Oh my goodness.
I did. Chin mudra.
Chin mudra. Can you do it for us?
So it looks like
It's the thumb and index.
And then all the last 3 fingers together.
Yep. Okay. Just like this.
Love it.
Yep. It's a very popular mudra.
Core quality, surrender to the divine. Ooh. So Chin mudra is the gesture of consciousness.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Block in the momentum, be conscious of it.
Recognizing the divine in all of creation, I live with a sense of deep appreciation.
Ooh.
Especially helpful for recognizing and honoring the divine order within all of creation, cultivating silence in the mind. Let's see. Yeah. And then it just gives a description.
Love it. On how to do it.
Yep.
Yep.
So join the tips of the thumbs and the tips of the index fingers to each hand, forming a circle. Extend the other 3 fingers straight out comfortably. Turn the palms downward, resting the hands onto the thighs or knees. Relax the shoulders back and down with the spine naturally aligned.
It's a great mudra to do. I'm going to hold this one up to the camera so that those that are watching on YouTube can see it. The gesture of consciousness. So, and for the record, she did not pre-pick this.
I did not. You saw me kind of just going back.
Just go bringing the hand, doing the thing. It always falls into place, friends. So, any other final thoughts, Ms. Prajna?
No, I just, go to another game with you again any day.
Any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, it's late though.
Yeah.
It's a late night.
The Friday night thing, it's a rough go. But, yeah.
I like it when they're Saturday afternoons at 5. Then I can get home at a decent hour.
Exactly, and have dinner and then take a nap.
Yeah, take an 8-hour nap.
Because we're at that stage in life now. But anyway, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Jai Bhagwan.
Keeping the momentum can be tiring, so you gotta
rest.
You gotta rest.
You gotta rest it. You gotta do the things so that you can rest. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you are interested in finding out all of the things it is that we do, please go to the womanwarrioracademy.com. You can also check us out on YouTube. Satyavani Rising is the channel. Please do subscribe, and you can also put comments in there about things that you liked, you didn't like, things that you want to participate in, questions, etc. We're all about it. And of course, this is our audio podcast that can be found on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts, and where all your podcast needs are, wherever they are. But if you are interested in still participating in the Ayurveda 108, we're only 6 days deep, so you can absolutely join in. We're going for 108 days, which means that you'll just go an extra 6 days after that. Feel free to check it out on the website, or you can follow myself or Prajna on Instagram. I'm at Satyavani Gayatri, and you are at
Prajna Madhavi.
And you can find out all the things and check out the videos and all the good stuff. We're going to have some pop-up events coming up, and we're going to have some cool guests coming up during this 108. So stay tuned. And as always, Jai Bhagwan, may your soul be victorious.
Is life hard? Yeah, it's really fucking hard. And you can also have the life it is that you want. You just got to work for it.